Welcome back to I Am with Jenna Phillips Ballard. Today's conversation is with someone who has guided thousands through profound transformation, helping people create greater abundance in their finances, relationships, and health through deep healing and spiritual awakening. Danny Morel is an entrepreneur turned spiritual guide who has helped thousands to achieve true abundance in their finances, relationships, and health through deep healing work and spiritual awakenings. Danny offers private coaching, speaking, and his Awaken Your Highest Self events that draw upwards of 600 to 700 attendees at every event. He is also a recognized thought leader who is frequently featured in major national media such as Forbes, Entrepreneur, and Business Insider. Danny has released his debut book, Awaken Your Higher Self, in March of 2026. Without further ado, Danny, welcome to I Am with Jenna Phillips Ballard.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I just want to say, first and foremost, it's very full circle because I was on your podcast a few years ago, and that's actually how we met.
That's right.
And it was at that point my favorite podcast that I've ever been on. The way that you interview, the way that you evoke questions, it was really, really fun to have that experience and to meet you that way. And we've built a friendship since then, and to now see you in this phase, in this chapter with Jen, your extraordinary wife, who I love very much, and the family that you've created with her, and the impact that you two are making together. It's exceptional.
Yeah, thank you. It's it's been a journey, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that. So
no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you have a new book that has just come out, and what I know about you is that the way that you create transformation, you make it so available for people, you make it digestible. And you give them the opportunity, of course, through your podcast, and then they have an opportunity to come to your event. And then there are just so many ways that people can experience transformation.
Yeah.
And but that always wasn't the case for you. You had a different season of your life. So I would love to explore that with you as well. And really just what brought you to this, because I mean, the life that you've created, you weren't born basically with a silver spoon in your mouth. You weren't given success on a silver platter. I mean, you've really worked hard to create what you've created, but you also went through some challenges to basically have you arrive at this place. Now you're a spiritual teacher and guide, and would love to unpack that with you.
Yeah, thanks. I think first, it's all been perfect. I look back at the moments in my life where I've gone moments of like not having enough to like buy food, and not having enough to make my son's birthday party, and all the way through, creating a lot of financial success. And then it's really interesting, but I'm now at a place where I realize that even that came from a need. And I'm at a place right now where I'm just working to be me, That's it. Yeah. And helping others to be them. The best way that I could describe like what I think I do is, have you ever seen the movie Trolls?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Remember there's just this funny scene where the Bergens, the little kid king, the dad sits him on his lap, and the dad goes, "You'll never be happy." And the kid's like, "Never?" She's like, "Never, ever, 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 ever. You'll never be happy because I don't have a troll for you to eat," And the way that I interpret that is like, that's our mother-father wounds. Our mother and father wounds get passed down to us from our parents before we even have the language to accept those wounds or not, before we can even say, yes, I'll take those on, because it happens energetically. And as it's happening energetically, what we don't realize is that our light starts to get dimmed, and we lose ourselves. We lose our essence, we lose our power, we lose our magic, and we start looking for that essence, power, and magic in other things, in relationships, in work and success and materialism, and in whatever it is. And I think the journey of life is getting to a place where, not that any of those things are bad, but getting to a place where you can remember that what you're looking for out there has been in here all along. So.
Well, you definitely create such an example for people because you've lived that. And the season of your life where, and I intimately know a lot about you because you've shared so openly with me, just this season that you were in and how you were chasing money and you were chasing success. It was external success. And there was I would love for you to talk about the success that you built, because
Sure.
one of the biggest things that I want people to know is that despite the events that we have in our life, despite the breakdowns and the perceived limitations, it's possible to shift your life at any given moment. And you had such an awakening, but the specific season of your life where you created all this external on paper success, I would love for you to tap into that and realizing that there wasn't actual fulfillment in that. And then what had you shift into what you're doing now?
I'd like to just share something that I'm noticing right now is that like I'm really still and I'm able to actually hear you. And if I look back to that time in my life where I was chasing that external success, I didn't even know what still was, and I couldn't hear anyone or anything because there was this constant chatter going on in my mind, this constant feeling inside of myself that told me that I needed to go do something. I needed to go look a certain way. I needed to go get a certain number. And it's really interesting. Like back then, the number was always 1 billion. Like someday I'm going to be a billionaire, right? And if you look at that, like from an energetic and psychological perspective, it's almost like what you're thinking and feeling is, without saying it, when I get there, I'll be happy. And by the way, I'm going to make getting there be as far away as possible, because what I'm actually afraid of is being happy with who I am right now. Yeah. And I think that that's what most people struggle with, quite frankly. And when I was able to like really move through, and it felt like I did that in layers, when I was able to really like, get the success and then like sit there and think, I'm still miserable. So maybe that wasn't it, and even, get the relationship back then and I'm still miserable. So maybe that's not where it's at, and maybe, like get like the look and the house and the, at the end of the day, what I just discovered is that until you can remove the identity that you are attaching to success, you'll never actually be successful.
Sure. Because
what you're actually doing is you're chasing, and
it's like always a moving target.
That's
like,
right.
And the belief or there's an illusion that there's a mountaintop. Like once we get there, then we're going to experience fulfillment and happiness and self-worth and all of that. And you kept probably reaching those milestones because you're also a manifester. So you said, I'm going to get that. Then you got that thing. And then to realize that that wasn't the thing that was going to create fulfillment and happiness.
Yeah. And I want to say the next piece. Because, you could be listening to this thinking like, oh, okay, well, then I have to stop, like, like aspiring to be everything that I aspire with. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm asking and what I'm sharing with you is, can you identify the energy that it's coming from? Can you identify what it's trying to fulfill within yourself? Can you like really be honest with yourself? Can you really question your motives? And when you do that, you might look and see that the same way that a crack addict is hooked on crack, the same way that a porn addict is hooked on porn, the same way that a sex addict is hooked on sex, you might be hooked on and addicted to success because of some sort of external belief or external fulfillment that you need, that you don't even realize that you need. And, as we go into how that impacts like your life, think about that. Think about the fact that like, how could you ever actually be in a relationship with someone if you don't actually know what your real desires are, what your real motives are? I'll tell you, look at the divorce rate. Look at everything that's happening right now. A lot of people are having a hard time in relationships right now because they're so externally motivated that when it comes time to really deal with something with a partner, like face to face and look eye to eye, they are incapable of it. They don't have the tools for it. And that's why I'm such a proponent, by the way, of plant medicine, because it forces you to do just that.
It sure does. And I'll say that the work that you do, having people come to these big events, and that and plant medicine really goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
And I know that it's kind of like what you were speaking into about comparing all these different, like this addiction with success and the crack addict or someone who's addicted to porn or sex. It's like they're always chasing the dragon. and they can't quite get that same feeling again. They're always trying to reach and experience that first hit, and they can't ever quite get it. And so the events that you have and the way that you've stood for people and continue to stand for people, to realize that happiness is an inside job, and fulfillment is something that they get to choose, and to really be with themselves. And that's one of the most difficult things for people to sit with, is what it means to be in a relationship with themselves. And so you nailed it.
Yeah.
To have those challenging conversations with their partner, it's they really get to do that deep shadow work and also be in relationship with themselves.
And that's the value of all of this. That's the benefit of all of this, is the more that you go inward, the more that you really discover yourself. I like to think of the awakening process in 3 steps. First, it's questioning. Like, do you have the courage to question everything that you believe? Do you have the courage to question everything you've been told? Do you have the courage to question all of your motives? Do you have the courage to question everything about your life? And I'm going to tell you, Jenna, like 95% of humanity doesn't have the courage to question it, because the whole 3D world is built to keep us locked in this puzzle where questioning causes you or invites you to face some of your deepest fears. Because what happens if I question this and my friends don't all agree with me? Am I going to lose my friends?
Because it's also coming to terms with breaking generational trauma, like breaking that patterning. And I've seen it in so many people who come through our trainings as well, and people that I've coached, is to choose a different path, a different belief system, a different operating system. It then challenges their family and the fear of making their family wrong.
Sure.
And that comes with so many challenges as well.
Yeah, it's a very real thing. So I honor that. I understand that. Yeah.
And I see that what you've created with your events, and they're all over the world. I mean, you've got one, it's coming up in Los Angeles. You have another one coming up in New York, London. I mean, you are really, I just see what you're doing all over the world, and the way that you're standing for people, and you're a maniac on a mission. and it's you've been able to do the work on yourself, and then through that pain, you turn that pain into purpose.
Yeah.
And really just made it your mission in life, is to wake people up and have them realize what's truly available for them when they be in relationship with themselves.
I'm going to ask you a question, and you can answer me yes or no. If every human on planet Earth did ayahuasca, would the world be a better place? Yes
100%.
No?
Yes.
Okay. So we know that.
Sure.
Because we've done that, right? And so then we have to look at the thing that keeps people from sitting with the medicine. On the surface, that's the devil, that's evil, that's a drug. That's the way that the mind protects itself. That's the way that the ego keeps itself safe. It puts a label on things and says that is bad. You know what's actually happening? You're just afraid.
Absolutely. And
that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. But let's just be honest. You're just afraid to go inward. You're just afraid to sit still. You're just afraid to challenge your beliefs. You're just afraid that maybe, just maybe, everything that you've thought about life, about God, may not actually be the fullest truth.
Sure.
And it's okay to be afraid. But what I've discovered also is everything you've ever wanted in your life, at the core of who you are, is just on the other side of that fear.
Yeah, that resistance. And I've sat with ayahuasca 16 times. I've sat with so many different plant medicines, and I'm also seeing, and we've talked about this, about there's kind of like this new wave of spirituality, people who once upon a time were all about manifestation and crystals and plant medicine and all that. And then they kind of have this in their own awakening. And this is not to make it wrong, but I'm just noticing this, right? That people then discover their deeper connection to God in whichever way that happens or transpires. And then I'm noticing there's like a making wrong of plant medicine and saying that ayahuasca is of the devil and it's evil. And so I I mean, I can say that my relationship to God has never been clearer. Like
No, I never will be, other than because the
and
medicine.
right, and it's
What is God?
Right, and God made this medicine, and I think it's just a really interesting. I mean, there's an underbelly to everything. There's light and dark in everything that exists in transformation work as well.
Yeah.
But I think that the biggest thing is just being in alignment with who you're experiencing this medicine with, and it really comes back to resonance.
Absolutely.
And I believe that God has made these medicines for us to create a different kind of connection with the all-knowing spirit that we're always connected to. And I think that there's just an opportunity for people to, because if people who are now grounded in Christ, like their relationship is with Jesus and they are living that, because Jesus didn't make people wrong. Jesus loved everybody. And I think that his teachings have gotten skewed a bit by religion, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I really just see an opportunity for people to be in exploration, because there's so many different modalities available to people to create a deeper connection to God. And then also they don't talk about the missing years. I mean, he was traveling and studying with shamans, and he was learning a different perspective, and that awakening for himself was something that when he came back, he was trying to share that with everybody. And so they were like, we're not doing that. No, we're absolutely not going to allow you to speak that way.
Well, because then they'd be out of the picture.
Of course.
You know who else they don't ever talk about? Mary Magdalene.
Which is such a horrible atrocity that they don't bring that in. I mean, that was his wife. That was his lover. It was the woman that he trusted the most.
Mary Magdalene and Jesus had children.
Mm-hmm.
And if, people are going to go, no, they absolutely did. Mm-hmm. Jesus was a man. He was in love with Mary Magdalene. Of course, he had children. It's the only way that the Christ consciousness through those children spread
and multiplied,
and is now multiplied to here so that we can feel it.
That's right.
Yeah. And religion purposely keeps Mary Magdalene out of anything.
And then
why?
Called her a prostitute.
Of course they do. They called her a prostitute the same way they say that the heart is deceiving. Why? Because Mary Magdalene is not Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene is the energetic representation of what? The feminine, the heart. Yes, the woman, because the woman is also the representation of the heart. So religion has to keep the feminine out of it. That's why they tell you that God is a man. Why? Because you are in your masculine energy when you believe that.
I think that people are waking up to what it means to have their own relationship with God, because I was raised Christian. Yeah. I went to Bible camp every single year, when I was a kid. Every single summer I was going to Christian Bible camp, and I loved the foundation that it provided me.
Sure.
However, I kept having this feeling that, and this intuitive knowingness that I get to have my own relationship with God and believe what feels in alignment with me, that coming back to resonance. And it wasn't until my head trauma accident that when you fell.
That's right. I remember that from our
podcast. Yes. And
you fell like backwards.
I fell backwards. I was
like a long way.
Yeah, 14 feet, landed on concrete,
right.
Which is crazy. And it's like, of course I have a connection to God, and I believe in God. And yes, there is, we are all parts of God. A drop of ocean water is still the ocean. We're not separate from God. Mm-hmm. But from that whole experience, and then waking up from my coma, I had this knowingness that there were 3 angels who softened my fall, because the doctors were saying, like, it's crazy that she didn't break her neck, that she didn't break her head open. I mean, I had a fractured skull, 2 brain contusions, and so it was an absolute miracle that it wasn't more significant. But that whole experience is what put me on the path of what I'm doing now, and it was the best thing that ever happened for me.
You see, that's my mom dying. That's what you guys have to understand. All of us have a moment.
Yes.
All of us who are called on this path have a moment that your life is going this way, and then shh. And all I genuinely do in my work is I just catch people at that moment. Do you know the amount of people? I'll tell you this funny story. We host ceremonies for our community, and And, one day, Jen went to the ceremony. And then I said, you know what? I think I need to go sit with the medicine because I haven't sat for like 2 years at this point, right? Anyhow, to make a long story short, I'm sitting with the medicine and I'm just like out of it. And this guy who's a part of our collective is sitting there next to me. And I look up at him and I go, who are you? Because I don't know who he is. And I start asking him questions, and I go, how did you find us? Like, he says, I'm from Europe. I go, what are you doing here in Texas? He goes, I'm part of the collective. Like, I'm a new member, and I'm doing. And I go, wow. And I go, what was it? Was it an ad? Like, was it a direct message? Like, how did you find us? He goes, no, I just saw a clip, and I felt. Isn't that beautiful? I just saw a clip, and I felt that something was here for me. And this is what I'm saying, Jenna, like in my work, all I want to do is like, people are going this way and then they have that moment and I just want to I don't even want to, it just happens.
Yeah.
I just catch him in that moment and I offer for them what no one offered me, which was like, okay, here's baby step number 1, baby step number 2, baby step number 3. I figured it all out just by myself, And I think this is a beautiful part of this is that's what we get to like be for each other in so many different aspects. Maybe for you, it's not spirituality. Maybe for you, it's whatever you want it to be. But like the gift is in you. Like your life is the gift.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and what you said, everybody has their moment, and that's something that I'm so passionate about, also supporting people and discovering that because we all have that. We all
That's
have
right.
that one moment where we pivoted, and maybe the event was incredibly traumatic. It could have been a car accident. In my case, the head trauma accident that I fell from the second-story building, and I could have looked at that whole situation as, because people would always say, oh my God, that's horrible. I remember waking up from my coma and I was telling them a story about my experience. That's horrible. And I always say it's the best thing that ever happened for me because it had me realize that I get to be living a life of purpose. And in that, my relationship with God changed significantly. I was no longer basing my relationship with God on the Bible per se. And there's a lot of great messages in the Bible and
Sure.
and a lot of really great stories and insights. But I created a relationship with God that was my own, and I'm here to be in service and to support humanity in coming home to themselves, and so you creating that opportunity for people to find themselves, to discover their moment, and then realize that they can actually use that to forward them, and it can be fuel for their mission, and like that's the difference. So that's the difference between you and other leaders, I'll say, because it's like you're not taking credit for their transformation. You instill the belief in themselves that it's their own choosing and it's their own mission.
I'd like to address that. People always ask me, okay, Danny, like, how did you do it? Because I was like an asshole real estate agent. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like, here we are leading some of the biggest breathworks in the world. Right? So people are like, how did you do it? And I'd like to boil it down to like 3 things. Number 1, I healed my father wound. I went all in. I went into the most uncomfortable places. I saw the parts of myself that didn't want to forgive him, that, I went all in on healing that, because until you heal what's going on with you and your dad, you can never step into the fullness of your power as a man or a woman.
True.
Number 2, I healed my mother wound. And I healed all of the parts of myself that didn't receive, the love from her because she didn't know how to give it. You know what I mean? Instead of staying but I wish this would have, I go, no. I see it now. I'm connecting the dots. Of course she didn't know how to give me. I know she loved me, but of course she didn't know how to she felt uncomfortable with that love because it wasn't given to her. So I healed that. And I man, I just felt that in my heart. It's like you're cleaning up like your energetic lineages, basically. This is what we help people to do. But then this is the biggest one, Jenna. This is where most people have the hardest time. I died to the part of myself that thought that I was the answer or I was the one doing anything at all. That was the hardest one for me.
I'm sure.
Because if I can be honest with you, when I first started this work, I saw a way for you to need me, for you to like me, for you to think that I was something special. And I went into all of those parts of myself and I go, oh my God, then I'm never actually helping them. I'm using them to help myself.
Because then they're dependent on you.
That's
then you are their guru.
That's right.
And they can't actually do it without you.
Right.
And there's an opportunity for, and I love that you're saying this, because someone who has amassed so much success as a spiritual guide and teacher and transformational I really want to boil it down to its embodiment. Like you really have this level of embodiment with transformation, and you never in your presence have I ever felt that you are positioning yourself or leveraging yourself. Like you've got this really sacred, warm, humble, loving invitation to just be in relationship with you, and it feels so good to be in your presence.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine. I want to come to one of your events too, because I want you to. I would love to be there, and because I can only imagine the electricity and the energy and the vibe and the I can only imagine it being just extraordinary.
It's like trolls.
Of course,
you know, the little troll with the dim. He was like not his color, and then they get their color back. He gets his color back, and then he sings again, and at the end they're all dancing. Mark my words, that is literally awakened.
That's so fun.
That last day, women are like crying. They're afraid of men. They're jumping into their arms. There is no race. There's no religion. There's no man. There's no one. Everyone is one. They're singing. They're dancing. That's awakened. Well, and I did it all.
Yeah,
I did it all because I remember the first time that I just got like somewhat emotional without actually because I just remember the first time I did ayahuasca and I thought to myself, planet Earth needs to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So my whole mission has been, how could I just bring the beauty that I felt in that moment to humanity?
Well, but that's what Jesus was doing. I mean, he was, you want to talk about, and it's not to say that you are, for all my listeners who are going to get super activated by this, what I'm saying is that you are embodying Jesus's teachings, Christ consciousness, because you are instilling that belief in others. And that's what Jesus wanted for people, to literally embody his teachings, his love, his forgiveness. And so what you're creating at your events, I mean, you're seeing what's possible for all of humanity, because everyone who's at that event is from a different walk of life, different levels of success, man, woman, it's different races, and you're seeing what's possible. And then you're like, this is what I see for humanity.
That's
if
right.
It can happen in this room in 3 days or however long your event is,
yeah.
If that can happen so rapidly and so quickly here, then it can happen all over the planet.
That's all I want.
And like I'm with you. Like we are team humanity. So
yeah.
I see a world where we can respect other people's differences, opinions, beliefs, religion, spirituality, choices, and we just really remember that we all want the same thing at the end of the day. We want to feel safe. We want to have a roof over our head. We want to feel intimate connection with people, whether people admit that or not. It's like we really all want that. We need that as human beings.
Yeah.
And so you're able to see that in such a short amount of time, and then I'm sure you probably are imagining what's possible for every single country because it's the world's crazy right now. There's a lot that is not working, and we're seeing that what's happening at the macro level in our relationships, in our marriages, in our friendships, in our community.
Yeah.
And so it's all connected, and you're creating this tapestry that's really then having people take their transformation and then give it away and pay it forward.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually why I'm going to Dominican Republic, because I want to buy a piece of land. And, for us, it's, if you want to go on this journey, you start with the book, and then maybe you do an online event or something. And then eventually you come to awaken. And then if you feel called, you join our online communities, and you spend a year basically unraveling all of the energetic blockages inside of you that are keeping you from living at your highest self, But then I know a human being's fullest potential and capacity cannot be met without the medicine. That's my belief. You might think I'm crazy, but that's what I know.
Yeah, and there will be some people who will challenge that and say that that's not correct or whatever. But I've been able to experience that myself as well. And so that's your truth. It's my truth. And
it's always interesting that most of the people, it's funny. And I say this with love, but I'm just going to say the truth. It's really interesting that most of the people that challenge that and have a hard time with it haven't actually done the medicine.
They've never, it's like, don't knock it until you try it.
I just posted something the other day on ayahuasca, and this lady was like, I don't think that it's blah, blah, blah. And I just, I'm pretty good with my words. So I just asked this question like, well, how was your experience with it? That's it. And she goes, well, I have an experience with it. And then I said, well, maybe this is an invitation for you to not speak about the things that you don't know about. Because think about it, like you energetically, you feel so uncomfortable with yourself that when someone posts something, you have to be there to give your opinion, even if you actually don't know what they're talking about. Guess what that's called? That's ego.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know what I'm saying? That's disconnection from peace.
We can find our inner peace by remembering who we are and being present. And I love that you are so fired up about all the things we've just talked about. It's like, it's so fun. And, I just really want to say thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
And I respect you. I honor you. I love you deeply and dearly. And I'm just so excited for everything that you're up to, because you're a superstar. And I really just am so excited for everything you're going to be continuing for the rest of the year.
Well, I would just like to say, I thank you for that. Thank you for having me. I love our friendship, and when we hang out, and but it's really important. Like, I'd like to say that we are all superstars.
Mm-hmm.
We really, really are, and I think the key is for you to understand that you are not separate from anything that you want. And it might feel that way right now, and I understand that, because it once felt that way for me. My invitation is, there's one or two things you can do about that. It's either you can keep feeling like that, or you can start to question why you feel that way. And that's what the book is going to help you do. The book is going to take you to the path and the journey of like really like holding you while you question some of your deepest, darkest things that go on in here. And I think that's one of the most beautiful journeys that a human being could take.
You heard the man. So definitely make sure that you buy 1, 3, 5, 20 copies of this book, because I can't wait to dive into it. I'm so excited to read it. And one thing I ask all of my guests at the very, very end, based on everything that we just shared in the last however many minutes we've been doing this, I ask them what their I am statement is, essentially how you'd want the world to know you. What is your I am?
I am that I am.
Perfect. Easy.
That's it.
Simple.
Yeah.
So good. Danny, thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too.
You guys, I hope that you watched this episode 75,000 times. Share it with all of your friends if you want to get them all triggered and riled up. But the invitation is to question what you think you've always known, and trust yourself, go within, and explore what's possible. Thank you again so much for watching. I am with Jenna Phillips, Ballard, and I will see you guys again very soon.